Seeing us. So good morning. Good morning. Oh my God. Hello. Good evening. I am so used to saying good morning because of my morning show. And for some odd reason, I can't even get out of my Facebook page. But we should be live. So good evening and welcome to Mindful Conversations. I am Dr. Lori Monaco with Align Yourself Inc. I am a transformational and mindfulness coach. My business is Align Yourself Inc. Did I say that already? I don't even know. It is one of those days. I am a holistic practitioner, a chiropractor. I am a workshop facilitator and creator. And I am also known as a weight loss doc because of my weight loss programs and, more importantly, the Badass Buddha. And I have yet to get us up and running on my Facebook feed here. So I'm assuming we're going because you can't always tell for sure. So I would like to welcome my guest this evening. Her name is Allie Morgan, and we're going to make sure that we are up and running before we actually go through the introductions and stuff.
Right.
So
I am.
We're live. We're good.
We are.
Yep, we're good.
Can I check? Can I confirm with my mom?
Yes, please. This is Allie is super awesome, and we're just gonna have a good time tonight. So yes, do what you need to do. Do you need to text mom? We need to call her on the phone and like walk her through it. I'm good to go.
Okay.
What do you want to do?
Well, all right. I want to confirm that people can get on because call up. Stop it. You're gonna get. This is my co-host. I have a new show as well. Call it us. Are you gonna be co-host? All right. Well, then you have to be quiet. I just want to confirm that people can get on because we specifically taped this live because of all of the craziness that may have been going on this week, and I just want to make sure that people are able to tune in.
Live. Right. So it's at Dr. Lori Monaco on Facebook. So I see Sarah Dwiggins is on. Hi, Sarah.
Yes. Okay. My sister. Yes.
Hey, all right. Welcome. Oh, so Sarah, feel free to share whatever you want, a little extra stuff that Allie might not want to share, because that's what sisters are for.
I picked the wrong sister. She's quite filtered. My older one's the one you'll crack into.
So people are starting to come on. So fabulous, absolutely fabulous. And for those of you that are not catching it live, it is also available on YouTube. Not live, but it will be, at a later date. So let me just introduce my guest, my fabulous, lovely guest. Allie Morgan was inspired to create Narkle.com. That's NARKAL. To transform our restaurant industry after a morally shaking work experience in Portland, Oregon in 2017. Over the last 20 years, so she started when she was like 5, because she's only, Morgan has worked in over 25 restaurants and has experienced more than 10 additional jobs directly related to food and health. She earned her Bachelor's of Science in Food, Nutrition, and Dietetics. Is that right? Dietetics? Yeah. From Illinois State University in 2006. As the foundress of Narkle, Morgan designed an online space to connect individuals with restaurants expressing interest in Narkly values. And we're going to talk about Narkle lingo soon. Narkly values encompass topics of healthy, sustainable, local sourcing, vegetarian and allergy concerns. She aspires to connect with passionate individuals to create a movement to raise the bar on what the industry considers the standard for going green. Good evening, Allie. How are you tonight?
I am Dr. Lori.
Lori, it's just Lori.
Lori. Halfway, well, not maybe to get scientific, maybe 3/5 of the way through COVID, I tried to get rid of positives and negatives, and so saying that I'm good would be a positive. So I am, and people think it's funny. My old boss was really like, I need to stop asking you that question.
So you just say I am.
I invite everyone to the challenge of just removing positive and negatives from their daily it's a daily judgment to say. And I think we over gloss it to just say, I'm great, I'm good, I'm fine. So
Oh,
today.
especially the fine. The fine usually means that you're not. I'm fine. That's
It's
usually.
that 4-letter F word. We need to be careful. So yeah, that I am today. Lori, how are you?
Perfect. I am. And I am enough because I see it in the back of your, the sign behind you. So that's perfect.
I'm Marissa Peer.
Allie and I have so much in common. It's ridiculous. And the more we talk, the more I realize how much we have in common. We like, we'll be talking and I'll say this and she'll be like, oh my God, I follow that. And then you just said Marissa Peer. But that makes sense though, because we follow Mindvalley. So, and Marissa Peer's all over Mindvalley. So definitely recommend Mindvalley if you're listening, mindvalley.com. But anyway, and I didn't even get paid to say that. So it's just, I love them so much. So you are on Mindful Conversations tonight, and Mindful Conversations is to open people up to the conversation of mindful practice and have their mind really focused on. Apparently, I'm not focused. It's been a long day.
It has
To be focused on being aware, being present, being accountable. And I've had a lot of fabulous guests on. I've been very blessed. Every single one is just absolutely fabulous. What's particularly special about Allie is that Allie's business it really was created because of mindful practice, because you became aware of stuff that was going on and said, okay, we need to up one here. We need to like correct some things.
Yeah. Going back to just today and trying to recenter and be present and all the chaos that's happening in the world. My dog finally decided to start chewing her bone as soon as we got on. I don't know if you can hear it on your end.
Mine usually bark when they're in the room with me. So we're dog friendly here.
Okay, as long as you can't like hear her like chewing in the background. I guess it's one more mental, like one of these challenges that I think I've been training myself for years, to be at peace and be centered with being able to have this conversation right now with her like munching the top.
Yes.
So
Yep.
I recentering to that. Today has been, for some people, a really stressful day following what's going on in our media, what's going on in our news. If you don't know. If you don't know, I think you've had your head in the sand, and congratulations. I don't know why you're watching this right now. But today has been, this whole week with the election has really been shaking. We've been building up to this for months, and I feel like my practice and what my spiritual practice and the tools that I've been building to try to keep myself centered, it started a while ago, and now seeing so many people stressing out over, this last year and what's going on, politically and in our environment with, just to sum it up, like 2020. So that's kind of what I wanted to tap into tonight, and hopefully give our viewers a little something to take away to help us through this.
Yeah, it's been. I guess sometimes I get tired of the terminology that's used for 2020, and they're like unprecedented and uncertain times. And I laugh at the uncertain part because technically life is uncertain. There is nothing certain about anything, because you could sit there and go, well, I'm on my way to work and I'm certain I'm going to have this kind of day. And then you step out on the sidewalk and get hit by a car. And so it's like there's really no certainty, but I do get what they're saying. It's just that, it's different, but we've shifted. And I think most people have done a really great job. They might not have felt great in the midst of it, but they've done a really great job in reinventing themselves and making things work. And every time you think you got it down, you like sort of don't, like every time I think, I mean, I bounce between taking care of my kid and running a business. And every time I got like a rhythm going, it's like, crap, I missed, like tonight, I missed the conference call with her teacher, and I'm like, and I had it in my phone. I'm like, there's no other way for me to remember this if I have reminders on my phone. Oh, wait, I have to look at my phone. That's the key. But it's all these little things. We're so, mind, it's either you're mindful or you're mindful. So if we're missing the mark, we're mindful. And if we're making it all work and dealing with it properly, then we're mindful.
It's tapping into that flow. There's a word I really love. I don't know. I think it's from an Asian language, but it's upaya. Upaya. U-P-A-Y-A. Upaya means not that you are. So to explain this, upaya is directing your boat through a crazy bumpy river, but knowing that your destination is maybe over there, but you need to point your boat over there to get over there. And it's not just direct. We want to be like laser pointers, and like our society has trained us to set goals like this, and we want to be laser pointers. I have to go after that. And Upaya teaches us, if I point my boat over there, I will reach my destination over there. And being aware and present every bump and turn, and letting that flow happen. When we try to resist the flow, that's when we create a lot of tension in ourselves. And it from so many, if you talk about it from a spiritual level or a scientific level, we tense up, and that's when we're not letting this other thing happen.
Yeah, well, and resistance often comes from it's like a stress response. Mm-hmm. It's the fear comes in, and we instantly put the brakes up, and we sort of hesitate, and it's understandable. And when you have those moments where you have to do that, it makes perfect sense. But the problem is balancing it between doing it on a regular basis for everything, or knowing when to just trust in the process. And being that way.
And you brought up that F word, another F word, 4-letter F word of fear, which is so toxic. And it's supposed to create this response in us where biologically that we're paying attention to everything and stressing out like every little detail. If you study like the biology of humans in Africa living in the bush, and a lion might eat you, when you get that sensation of like stress, and our body still responds to fear that way, even if it's something simpler in society that we're facing. I'm trying to think of an example off the top of my head. I feel like this has been
fear of losing a job, fear of getting COVID, fear of who's going to become the president,
or just a simple thing of fear. If you believe in wearing a mask or not believing a mask right now, fear if you're walking down the street and someone comes within like 8 feet of you, are they going to put their mask up or not? That little bit of fear that I see people have on the street it's the same response in our bodies that we were designed to have if we were hunting in the African bush and we thought we heard a lion rustling behind us.
Right, exactly.
That's the same response our body gives us, even though it's not, it can't tell what level of that fear we're putting.
Yeah, the science says that our brain does not know the difference between something that is right in front of us, a legitimate fear. Somebody jumps at you with a knife and says, "Give me your wallet." That's a legitimate stress response. You want to go into that acute response and react accordingly. That is natural. That's how we've survived all these thousands of years. But the brain and the body don't know the difference between what is actually happening and what we're thinking. So if we're sitting in bed thinking about, oh my gosh, what about tomorrow, and worrying and being afraid of something, your body will react the same exact way chemically and physiologically speaking. And over a long period of time, it's very damaging. Acute stress is fine, chronic stress, no good.
So to inform our viewers, I have a nerdy scientific brain, and Lori is a scientist.
Perfect pair.
Talking about these topics, we were both like, yes, like we always have wanted to, continue the conversation.
And I want to actually get into a little bit about, speaking of your nerdy side, I want to get into your business, so tell everybody a little bit about your business and what you're putting together, and then like how it came about, like what was the real insight that you gained, and maybe some aha moments.
Yeah, so what direction to go with this? I have always been obsessed with food since I was a little kid. Some of my first memories were picking vegetables with my grandmas in their gardens. And I don't want to tell my age.
It's all right.
So about 22 years ago, I started working in restaurants. When I was 14, I was just like, I want to work at a restaurant. And I've just always like been drawn to providing people with food, cooking food and like having like hands-on in the kitchen. I don't know if I was just like always like hungry or snacky or like wanted to steal an extra bite. But it really exposed me to understanding where our food comes from. And along the lines, it's exposed me, it's allowed me to travel and live in other countries, working on farms, volunteering. I tried to count. I think I've worked in 6 different states in restaurants. But it's just really exposed me to a lot of different sides of our food system. And I always had this kind of like frustration. I think once I started studying a little bit more, I thought I was just interested in, I don't know, kind of like getting by as a server in college. And then I actually wanted to study nutrition and dietetics. And the more I learned, and the more like what our food was touching, and how much plastic and how much waste we were creating, and the impact on the environment, it definitely started to concern me. And at the same time, I was trying to do nutrition counseling and teaching my clients what to eat and what to not eat. But then I realized the food I was serving was kind of like borderline, even though it may have been like a high-end place or a seemingly healthy place. And it all kind of bothered me, but as kind of like a young 20-something, I didn't really know why, because I was following all the things that I had learned in school. And once I left the country and the more I traveled and I was exposed to other cultures and how they eat, or kind of their unique practices that I saw as healthier, or kind of like their dirty things, like I can't believe you store everything in plastic and create that much waste, or like put those chemicals on your food. So it created this like anger in me. And you see me as this like bright, shining person, and I am so grateful that you see me in that light. And to my friends and family that have known me all my life, I went through this really dark stage of being angry and walking beaches in third world countries that are covered with plastic, and just being like angry, like how do I get people to recognize this, and picking it up, but at the same time being so frustrated. And I forgot what your original question was.
I was like, what was it that triggered you to
Start my company?
Yes, absolutely. Yep. I got distracted because both of my dogs came into the room and they opened up the door.
Or call. I think call her. So between the two of us, we're gonna get through this together. It's been a long day, and I know so many people are stressed out about anything and everything this week. We just had a blue moon on Saturday, so there's crazy.
Yes.
Did you want to come up? This is Kala. You come up. This is my co-anchor, Kala. I just started a new show. This is my filming studio, and she's my co-anchor. Do you want to say hi to the camera? Yeah.
Oh my God, she's so cute.
I'll make sure we have the links attached, and you guys can check out. So I was really ahead of my times in being angry. When I think about it, it was 2010, and I had an amazing mentor, a guy I worked for on his farm in Costa Rica. He wasn't a Canadian guy, older. He's probably 60s or 70s, and he really wanted to teach young people about political issues in the world, even though he drew us in as like, this is an organic farming opportunity. And he gave me an education I didn't expect. I don't want to say I wasn't ready for, because obviously when the student's ready, the teacher appears. And he showed me a really dark side of politics in our country. And in 2010, our economy was on the rise. Everyone was seemingly happy and not really, it wasn't what it is at the moment of people being okay with what's going on. And I was really angry that I didn't know about these issues before, and that I didn't feel like I had people to, and I couldn't like just talk to normal people on the street about these political issues. It wasn't the norm. And traveling and seeing contaminants in our food system and our water system, big corporations polluting and damage to the environment, I was very frustrated and very angry for quite a while, and I didn't know how to deal with it. Eventually I figured it out, and a lot of the same kind of online mentors that I had, know of or relate to. And now I feel like I was so ahead of my time. And now so many of my friends and family are going through this stress of, how do we address these problems in our society, right now, our political system, and they're stressing over it. And I want to reach out and offer advice that not just to help you cope, but to deal with your anger and fears and release them so you can move on to make a change. If it's in your community or on a huger scale, like a global scale.
Right.
So what I'm hoping we can share a little bit of help for people today.
Well, we are definitely going to get into that. Quickly though, tell them about Narkle. Tell them.
Yeah. So okay, so
your business.
So I'm living on Kauai, and I get this great epiphany that I need to go back to naturopathic medicine school and get another degree, and then I can influence people on what to eat and how to take care of the planet. And this is what I'm going to do. So my dog Kala and we pack up and we move to Portland, Oregon, and we re-register in school and every week.
Yes, your dog too.
And this was how I was going to, have my impact on the world and help people figure out how to eat healthy and how to take care of the planet. And I hit a brick wall. The universe, it was obviously the right path, but I wasn't going about it in the right way. Portland's known for a food mecca where people really care about where their food is coming from, what's in it. I don't if you know kind of anything about like the Portland food scene. It's, I guess I don't even have to like cover why that would be such a place that I thought that things on the menu should be labeled correctly. That if a restaurant was saying that their food was locally sourced, it should be. And I just came across so much greenwashing. The first place I worked at was it seemed like a very farm to table, and a lot of fresh produce all over their menu. And when I did a little bit of digging, I found that they were putting MSG in almost absolutely everything. That and Lori also coaches nutrition, like dietary stuff. So I see you kind of like cringing in your face.
Well, I mean, I coach for a weight loss program, but it is actually, it's just regular eating. It's not like shakes or anything like packaged. It's actually not
real food. And
yeah.
This restaurant looked like it had fresh food. We even grew fresh herbs outside on our beautiful patio. And I would muddle the drinks by hand, and I would have to go out and like pick fresh mint for each drink that I made. And so like the customers saw the bartender like going out and picking mint to muddle in their mojito, like on the spot. So everything looked super fresh, and it was just laced with MSG and a lot of bottled prepackaged products from Asia that had like I trained as a nutritionist. I can read the food label, and that was nothing I would pick up in the supermarket. And it's nothing that I would tell a client if I were giving them nutrition advice that they should eat. And it was a high-end place. And it made me even more angry. I have this like reverse reaction to things now because I've practiced it for so long, but it made me absolutely furious, and I didn't know how to fix the problem. I feel like the universe gave me the answer. I started building my company, my platform that I have today, which is Narkle, to really create transparency in where our food is coming from, what's in it, what's touching it. Is it stored in plastic, or is it stored in something that's not going to leak into your food? Or if you don't care about that, you don't care about that, and that's fine too. And where our recycling, where our trash is going, where our compost is really going. These are these mysteries that we've relied on our government, either our local government, state government, to just handle. We throw things in the recycle bin, and we think they just disappear. And this is the stuff I nerd out on, because I want to know, when if I throw a can in the recycling, is it really getting recycled? Is it getting
it's funny that you said that, because I think about that every time the recycling truck comes by and picks up, and I say to myself, are they really going to a recycling facility, or are they just going to some landfill and just dumping it? I always wanted to follow them, and say, are you really going there? Where are you actually headed?
That's what my app is for. But now, just the last few years in political stuff, and I wanted to keep this not super political on the red and blue that's going on right now, but I think a lot of people want to take care of our planet and our ecosystem, and they want to eat healthy for their bodies and their families. And we don't have the transparency for people to easily make those decisions. When we, to get slightly political, when we changed our relationship with China a few years ago, and they weren't taking our plastic recycling, a lot of it got dumped in Malaysia. And people don't know that. Like, I don't know if you've heard of this theory, this story. But even though you throw it in the recycling bin, it's not going there. But these are the things that fire me up. And I think that anger and fear and this like rage that's going on right now, I think it's a step up from like not caring. I think like being, what's the word?
Indifference. If a
Not-
person has absolutely nothing, they don't care either way. And indifference is actually worse than hatred.
Yeah. When people, or they want to like hide from it, they're like, oh, I don't care, that doesn't bother me. That's like this level down here. Once you get up to like this like anger level and fear, you can do something about it. Like your fire is lit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because it triggers an emotion. And this is what I've learned about people over the years, is that there are those out there that it's people, especially when it comes to the environment. Sometimes it's not that they don't care, it's that some people get so overwhelmed with everything. When you're talking about environment, when you're talking about what's in the food, what you're putting inside of you, keeping fit, all these things require thought. They require you to be very conscious, which is, mindfulness practice, but being conscious all day long, which is impossible, but being conscious is exhausting. And so people like to, I don't want to say, blindly go in, or ignorance is bliss, all those little like expressions. But people do like to walk into a restaurant, let's say, have with the assumption that the food that they're going to get is a good quality food, because this is a whatever type of restaurant, and there's this expectation, and they put these little blinders on because they kind of really don't want to know whether they're right or wrong. They're just going to make an assumption, because it's so much more complicating to their lives if that's not the case.
Yeah.
So that's why people are shocked when they hear these really bad things happening at some restaurants that they never thought, oh my God, that restaurant got closed down. I ate there all the time. And they're shocked because they don't want to admit, oh my God, could it really be this bad? And the interesting thing is, we're not just talking about stuff like that. When people go and they're like, oh, I'm in such a hurry, I'm going to go buy a frozen dinner. People don't realize what is in a frozen dinner. And people don't realize how, when you're talking about politics and you're talking about money, how the food industry, all of it, it's not really, people don't care. It's not that we care about, or I don't want to say we, producers don't necessarily care about how healthy their food is. They care about how much they're going to make. And this came into light for me. I've been around this a long time. This is not new stuff. I mean, I'm 50. I have no problem talking about my age. And
over here, like, no, I want to lie.
and I mean, when I was a teenager, like 19, 18, this stuff was coming out. This information was coming out. There were people that were saying things about this. I mean, I remember when I was 19 years old, John Robbins, he was the one to inherit the Baskin-Robbins fortune. He was the son. And he walked away from it all because he said, this is garbage, like absolute garbage. And he and his father didn't speak for years, and they finally rectified before the father passed away. But he totally turned away from it because it was just such terrible stuff. But what hit me again was the rebirth of it for me was about, I think it was like 10 years ago. I read Michael Pollan's book, The Omnivore's Dilemma. Did you ever read that book? And
oh my gosh.
I went, no! Like, it's like, but you're like, I don't want to know. And I think that's the problem with people, is that we kind of don't want to know because there's so many other things that we have to worry about. And then to top it off, we have to worry about that. But we have to worry about those things.
Can I quote him?
Yes, by all.
He has 3 pieces of advice. What are they? Eat food, not too much, mostly plants.
And that's simple.
Actual food. Stop eating all these chemicals and packaged crap.
Yeah.
Eat food, not too much. Okay, and mostly plants. He doesn't really. The omnivore's dilemma is like, do we eat meat? Do we eat? Do we all go super vegan? It shows that it's mostly plants, and I don't think our food system is set up to support that. But to try to reach out to, I guess, like the message I want to help people with tonight. it goes back to this mindfulness, and like we on a different level, we think that the energy we're putting in our body is the food. Like that's kind of like number one. We have food, we have water, we have the clean air we're hopefully clean air we're breathing,
Right.
and I think that that's a big debate right now with masks. And if it's helping us, filter the air, or if we need to get out. Luckily, I mean, I'm almost if it weren't dark, I'd be looking at the mountains out my window right now, that I can go up there and hike and be away from all of this. But the mindfulness practice that I have, it's almost like a meditation. A lot of it does involve breathing and the breath and focus on your thoughts. And I think that that's the next level of what we need to be feeding ourselves is we need to be feeding ourselves positive thoughts, but watching the content that we let go into our mind, not just our mouth, but our mind. Because once you like click onto Facebook really fast or accidentally see a YouTube video, it will shift your energy for the whole day. And right now, I do care about what's going on in politics, and I have checked a few times. And I think it's important to have a balance of knowing what's going on and not getting overly wrapped up in it, and being able to recenter from that. And I feel like my understanding of what is about to happen in politics in the world is a few steps, I don't know, maybe like a few steps before my time. And that we knew for a while that we weren't going to know the results of the election right now. And that's a reason why I was looking forward to doing this live with you, because I thought it was really important to address and help people get through this. And whatever happens, one side is going to be angry. We're like, we have half of we have the country like almost divided in half, and then there's a few people that have completely stepped off to the side. But we're gonna have a massive amount of people absolutely furious, and how to reach out and deal with that without the other side is going to get more angry. One of our talks a couple weeks ago, we were talking about that scientific 5-ball silver thing, Newton's cradle. If you guys remember it from like a science museum, probably in like 5th grade, where it has 5 silver balls, and you pull one up, and it shoots the energy.
It just keeps going back. Yeah, it's kinetic.
And then and that one flies up, and it it reaches its high point, and then it shoots the same amount of energy back, and it goes. That's how with our 2-party system, how we have it set up, that's how the energy's going. And we're all hoping that the energy's going to our side, thinking that we're going to make a difference. And there are things that gradually do shift with time, but whichever side comes out winning in this election, the other side is going to come back. And it's not even just Newton's simple laws of motion. It's coming back with more force each time, and it's getting scarier and scarier and scarier. And I really hope that tonight's talk is reaching out to people and helping them cope with, instead of feeding into this energy, that we can figure out how to regroup and have a solution to solve problems, whether it's on an individual level, a community level. How can we make a difference in the people we're actually contacting in our, in our daily, well, now we're not even, I don't know, who knows if we're like contacting that many people as we we used to, if you just, in our daily lives, and we used to go to work and go out to the store and all of that. So,
where do you think all that's coming from? Like, where do you think all of this, the energy that's out there right now, where do you, and the way people are behaving, and this, like one side here and one side there, where do you think, like in your opinion, I have a theory on it, but I'm curious to know what your theory is. What do you, where
I think like this election, it really seems a lot more heated than ever before in the past. But it's really, I think our media has done a great job of stirring up all of
yeah, there's no doubt about that. Yeah, there's no
and
doubt about that.
It's really been a trigger for a lot of people. And I feel like I suffered through a lot of stress and turmoil 10 years ago and figured out how to cope with this. And like I said, I felt mostly alone when I was dealing with my feelings, and now it's so much more common that people have this fear. I think that it comes with our bipartisan setup, that people have to pick a side and stick to it, instead of how can we recreate our system to actually come together and work together. Because right now they're just fighting, and whichever side wins, and our legal system set up the same way. If you win a lawsuit, the other side can just come back and appeal it, and then you can appeal it again, and you can appeal again, and you get that whole motion thing. And in my field, I see this a lot in, big ag, chemical companies. The people in the community come up with a lawsuit and fight them, and then they come back with their appeal, and it just goes back and forth. And unfortunately, usually it's the communities or the environmentalist groups that get worn out before the funding from the corporations. But it's the same. It's that same Newton's cradle law of how the energy's shifting. And so you asked me where I think the energy is coming from. I think it's from people feeling forced to pick a side, or saying, I want to stick my head in the sand and not care. It's so overwhelming. And how do you stay centered right now? And I think there's a lot of people out there right now that, like we talked about, the layers of indifference is down here. And I feel like if you're actually in a fear or anger mode, you're about to take action. But the people down here that are not, like, staying away, they're not going to be able to actually take a step forward and make a change. And that, it makes me sad, and I want to find a way to engage them eventually, but also helping the people that are living in this anger and fear right now, and reaching out. I think there's a lot of good things shifting, and I don't want to say that it's so much negative or bad, or it shouldn't be happening. There's a lot of things that are broken in our system that are being addressed right now, especially racial issues, whether it be like treatment of Black people in our country, or treatment of Muslims around the world, if we're letting refugees into our country and our southern border. These are things that we've been dealing with down here, swept under the rug, not wanted to talk about for years, and it's all boiling up. And now's our opportunity to address it. We can make this so much better right now.
That's correct. That's the correct. Like, are we going to make the right choice, or are we just going to make the same choice? And my sister's on, and she wrote, the solution to our country's issues include accountability and transparency. We definitely lack these in our society, which is why we have what we have. In order for there to be, sorry, I can't read, harmony, people need to take ownership of their actions and be held accountable. Yeah, and when we say people, we also mean government. government needs to take accountability, government officials need to take accountability, but we also as a society need to take accountability. And my theory was, I think that the reason we are at the state we are in has to do with disconnect. I think that we are horribly, horribly disconnected. And it was something that kind of snuck in, but it was, I feel in some elements was purposely done. You know, there's, if you want to control people, and you want to make them believe things and do things, you isolate and you put fear, and then you give them a solution, and then they think, oh, well, they know what they're doing, and that's, you know, that's a good way. And
no, we need to, I think it's, we've been relying on our government too much to make these choices, and
that's what I mean, right?
Yeah, I fully believe that you.
And that's what I mean. We're so disconnected from, like, if somebody asks you, what do you think about this? Most people are like, I don't know. I don't know anything about this. Well, get to know it. This is this situation. What do you think? And then when you give them a chance to like really step in, and then especially if you connect, you know, it's very hard for people to visualize where you're talking about in another country, seeing plastic bottles just strewn across, you know, the beach. And it's like, we don't, and we might see pictures of it and we still have that disconnect because it's overwhelming, and we sometimes don't want to be responsible for it. But I think we have to get our head out of that, like you said, out of the sand. It's a mindfulness practice, and we have to be accountable. We have to take responsibility, and we have to say, okay, the change starts with me, and then it spreads, you know, this person, and stop butting heads about and fighting, oh, well, it's this right and this right. I don't know. I think it's safe to say that most of them are assholes. You know, like when you look at the overall like majority of government people, I could say it, it's my show, I'm allowed. But what I'm saying is that there's the people that are really good get over, you know, like they're over, you can't see them because it's the other people on top, the a-holes that are in the top, and they're feeding the information and they're getting people to believe things, and it affects the food system, and it affects the agriculture, you know, the stuff where we grow and what we raise and how we sell it, and so on and so forth.
We now have so much technology at our fingertips. I truly believe that the power is shifting. Instead of this currency that we're using, is shifting into technology where we all can post a video and have it go viral, and then the whole world knows what just happened. It's
Right.
not controlled from the top. We have all, I didn't even mean to sit down with my phone right now, but we all have this huge technology piece at our fingertips. And so some people, it can be evil and brainwashing of how much we just flip through Facebook and TikTok and YouTube, and just we use it as like an addiction. Or we can also use the features to communicate and make a change and take our power back. And not, it's not to say, I don't want to say it, because this would be a positive or negative judgment that the government is doing a bad job. We've expected them to oversee, like the FDA and the USDA. We think that they're like keeping us healthy. They're not. They're
right, because their focus is different. Yeah, their focus is different, and that, yeah, and I'm thinking about too the fact that I'm talking about a-holes, and I'm being mindful and non-judgmental. It's not a judgment, actually. It's just an observation. There's a difference.
Oh, well, from a anatomy standpoint, yeah.
Yes.
I used to do GI nutritional.
They're colons.
I used to do
Anal sphincters. How's that?
Did you know my department in the hospital, my focus was on GI surgery patients. I got to talk about this all the time.
Oh, good, good.
Anyway, I had this epiphany. I think, okay, to age myself, I'm about to turn 37 in a few weeks, but probably when I was 31 or 32, I was
And you
so,
don't look it, by the way, at all. Not even close.
there's a filter on Zoom. It's really nice. But I remember being so frustrated at what was going on in politics. And I'm like, why aren't the adults doing anything? And I look at my parents and they're about to retire and just go enjoy themselves. And I looked at myself and I'm like, oh, I'm that adult that's supposed to do something right now. I've always like looked at people that were older than me that like you're supposed to be fixing, you should be doing something right now. And it really took me, maybe it was about to turn 35 and I realized I could actually run for president.
That's correct.
when you are about to turn 25 and you're like, I could rent a car. But the realization that
Rent a car and then, oh, run for president. Hey.
This is not my announcement for 2024. But I recognized, I was in my 30s when I recognized I am in my mind, I'm like, where are the adults stepping up here? And I had to take a step back and realize I am one of those adults that's supposed to be doing something about this. And having that awareness and recognizing that helped me step into the position I am now and starting the project I'm building now and giving me the confidence to do it.
Well, and I think that's what it is. Some people just think, oh, it's somebody else. Somebody else has to do it. And then there's those that say it's just too overwhelming. I don't know where to start. I don't know how to start. I'm just going to stay here with my head in the sand. And then there's the other people who you educate them a little bit and they're like, I don't care. I don't care. I'm just going to throw this here. I'm just going to do that. I don't care. And they really don't. And even when you try to educate them, they really don't have an interest, which is a shame. You know, it's a shame because we're all connected. This is our whole entire planet. This is our food system. You can't separate it, you know, and then you can't turn around. And when you get cancer and when you get sick with cardiovascular disease, we could go on with all.
But sorry, people do. I mean, I worked in the hospital and had people literally on their deathbed when I said I'm Allie from the nutrition department, and I had patients grab my hand on their deathbed saying, tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And it's we say it in general, but when you actually have someone that's staring you in the eyes saying, I ate everything I was supposed to, like, why am I this sick? It shakes you to your core. And I experienced that at a really young age, like 23, right out of college. I kind of got my dream job. And it made me really question what I was teaching people or what I was listening to when it came to our food. And then later with my traveling education, I learned more about politics and why, you know, how we're getting this information. And I set out to change it. And I really hope that people that are in fear right now of what's going on this week, that they can really find, I think of it as we're in our group, we're practicing a lot of gratitude for November and Thanksgiving and being grateful. And so if you have this fear and this hate, like, focus on something you're grateful for.
Yeah.
That is like telling a girl that's crying, it's like, you should smile. You'll look prettier when you smile. When you're that angry, you're like, smile.
I'm grateful if I punch you in the face right now. When you're that mad, you like when somebody says something like that, you're like.
If you are that livid, if you're that fired up and you tell someone, think about what you're grateful for, That is not helping. We need to give people the proper tools. You can't just like go from livid, angry to like pivoting like 180. I'm gonna be happy all of a sudden. You're going to have like emotional whiplash.
Yes,
It's
absolutely. Great
not going to
example.
be able to make that pivot. So actually being able to get into that space where I love to play loud, rowdy music on my headphones, so I'm not bothering anyone but me, and either like dance my ass off in the kitchen or go outside and hula hoop until I can gradually like slow down the music to a place where I can recollect my thoughts. And I think getting clear on what you're angry about and why you're angry about it. But this is my advice to everyone. I know we're getting to the top of the hour. If you are fearful or angry, upset about the election or other like racial tensions in our country right now, if
Or
you,
whatever.
yeah, all of this, anything
Yeah.
going on right now. When we were putting together this program, I thought, what would actually be my advice? And I think from my 10 years of trying to figure out what worked for me, but writing down those thoughts when you're angry. Don't try to just like fill it with gratitude and get over it. That's bottling it up. But write them down. Get clear on what's making you angry and why. It's really important to get clear on why. And as you calm yourself down, whether it's loud music and a dance party, again, don't have to blast your music and scare away the birds. If you have headphones, please use them. But once you can calm yourself down, look back at that list and see if there's something that you can cross off. It was that you can figure out a new way to look at it. And you'll probably, if you have a lot of things that are bothering you, if you just have one thing that's making you angry and you know it, you can address it. But whittling down the list to what's really making you angry and whether you need to meditate on that or pray on that, if whatever your religious practice is. But once you can address it and release it, the universe will give you an answer to move forward. But step one is getting clear on what's actually making you mad and not thinking that you have to look at people like you and I who are like, oh, let's be mindful. And like, let's practice gratitude and all of a sudden be able to pivot from this level of livid to like a calm like, gratitude of, I think that that's really important to give people their space right now of being upset or fearful and not judging people for what they're going through, but how can we recenter and then offer a mindful ear to another person.
And when you're at that level too, I mean, think about the things that feed into it. Like that, if you are aware of those things, if watching the news feeds into it for you, then don't watch the news. If speaking to certain people feed into it, then don't speak to those people. And pull yourself away from it and phone a friend that you know is more grounding to you, or view something that's more grounding, or go outside or do something, because then redirecting will actually shift you. And then it's not that you're ignoring it, and it's not that you're pushing it down, you're just redirecting yourself. And then with a clearer mind, you can create better. And so that even if the list is hard for you, you have that moment of clarity and you start calmly thinking about it. And if it starts upsetting you again, you honor those feelings too. That's the other piece of it. You can't, don't get mad for getting mad, but just acknowledge that you have control over how mad you get. And is it worth getting this mad about something at that particular time for this particular reason? So it's always, again, very conscious. It's being very conscious. It's not going in that autopilot to where you just are reactive as opposed to responding.
And it takes a lot of practice, and I am in no way saying that I have
No,
this.
it's lifelong. It's lifelong. It's very few people that are just so constant with that.
And it's for me, it's something that I regularly almost like study up on this. Like you wouldn't just take calculus once and think you're going to remember it the rest of your life. This is
Yes.
something that I constantly follow and go with. Something else I thought was really important for you, that you mentioned was go outside. Go outside, get fresh air, go be in nature, go try to reconnect. Take your mask off, take deep breaths when no one's watching in the woods. Please, please do this. But I think that a lot of people are feeling so much overwhelm right now that it's not just one thing that's frustrating, it's several. And
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
as much as I want you to think positively and have, you know, gratitude and these positive thoughts, but getting clear on what's bothering you, and if you can make little shifts or like delete some of those from your list and recognize what's important and relook at our values. um just putting, when you asked me to do this talk, putting together some of my thoughts, I feel like it gave me the opportunity to look at what my practice was and what has worked, because I've done a lot of trial and error in this. It has not been smooth sailing. Um, but anyway, any updates on the election? Do you know what's going on?
I haven't looked while we've been on, so I've just been following comments and, you know, putting little things. So it is the top of the hour, though. We're actually a little bit over. So I just want to thank you, Allie, for coming on tonight. And we could have made this like a two-parter. So I think
Oh my gosh, yes.
maybe we need to have you back on again so that we can sort of go in more into depth, because there is a lot. There's a lot, especially just on the food side alone. And I would love to have a conversation about food and what's in it and how it's linked to health and the medical industry and pharmaceutical industries. And so I will be kind and well, we won't go any further, but let's see, Chris, is it Ruz?
Oh, Chris Rice.
Says, hi, Allie, can you tell us a bit more about NARCL and how it can help people and the planet? Yeah, I was trying to get her to do that. It kept moving, and now we're like at the end of the conversation. So that's
That is to be continued.
what I'm going to do is I'm going to post it. I'm going to, in the description, I'm going to write, you know, your website and how they can get in contact with you and a little bit about what NARCL is. And so that you got, because I had my whole list. I had all the words and, you know, and we didn't get into it. I tried though.
Oh, I had all these other analogies. Lori and I, we could talk for out. We have talked for.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, to be continued. Yeah, I'm sure Lori will put my contacts up, and the NARCL project. I have updates on Facebook and putting that together as we roll out the website and the app and the NARCL news. It's all kind of happening at once, and it's this exciting energy. So yeah.
Do you have like an approximate time frame for when that's going to be rolling out, the app, or? Sure.
This has taught me a lot of patience, because I was trying to force it at the beginning of the pandemic, actually before the pandemic. And if I would have launched my app successfully a year ago, because it's a restaurant, it starts off as a restaurant review site, it would have fallen flat on its face. I would have nothing right now. And because the universe didn't allow me to have it together then, it has given me an opportunity to build it better and have clarity on other part of how it connects with community. So I'm in Upaya right now. I am rolling with these bumps and these curves and enjoying this little boat ride.
Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe what we'll do is, as it's moving, like as you start to see the light and you're moving closer to release, we'll have you back on and we'll specifically talk about that. We'll talk about what you're doing and the benefit of it, and then we'll get into the food conversation like much deeper, like specifically.
So if you're crazy interested in the project, follow the NARCL page on Facebook. and we'll keep you updated when the app is ready to launch. We're about to put out the Narcle News pilot either today or tomorrow. I have some sneak peek clips from my first few interviews for the new show. So yeah, follow the Narcle Facebook page if you're interested in staying updated.
Perfect. Great. Well, and thank you everybody for staying on a little bit longer. We appreciate that. And, thank you so much, Allie, for coming on. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. It always is for me. But now you guys got to experience it too. And those of you that know or knew that, so the new people out there, but thank you for coming on tonight, Allie. Appreciate it. And thank you everybody for joining us tonight on Mindful Conversations. I am Dr. Lori Monaco every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Mindful Conversations on Facebook and also on YouTube once I upload it. So please check out the YouTube channel and look at past episodes so you can just learn all about mindfulness and who practices what. And so thanks again for coming on. I hope everybody has a great weekend. And remember from the Badass Buddha, be you, be real, and be extraordinary. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Lori.